I'm Katie Utting. I'm River Project Officer for the River Waveney Trust, and I work on the Citizen Data Project. So working for the Trust, it's pretty apparent that water quality is a massive issue for rivers across the country, and it's been in the media a lot too. We in Bungay have had quite a few local protests that have been supported by huge numbers of the community. So we felt actually we'd have a really good opportunity in Bungay to actually get something off the ground. Our first project was in 2023 and we did bathing water quality sampling, and that has led on to this project, which is to understand more generally about water quality across Bungay. I think we understand across the country what a lot of the issues are in rivers in terms of pollution, but we wanted to really kind of fine-grain understanding of the different issues in this area. And the idea is once we establish a way of working within this community, we can roll that out along with the whole of the Waveney to the other market towns. Here at the Riverside Centre where we're based, we're really fortunate. We have Sea Scouts, we have the Waveney Valley Canoe Club, people swim all around the Bungay Loop, and people within this community really love it. The integrated local delivery approach values everyone's voice, and I think that's part of the values that we have in the River Waveney Trust. And so it seems really obvious to us that we should use a method like the integrated local delivery to kind of help us guide how we were going to do this project. There's a simple 6-step approach that you can use. It's been proven to be successful, and we were really excited to test it in Bungay. We reached out to a number of local partners, Clay's, Chris Malting's, the Waveney Business Park, Fen Farm Dairy, and also people in the local community who care about the river. And it was really brilliant, the response. We had a meeting together to talk about concerns about water quality and the ways in which they felt they may even be contributing to those issues. We did go to the golf course as well, because obviously there's a golf course on Bungay Loop, and they were so open and keen to share their practices, and Clay sent us their drainage maps. I think everyone just does love the river, and everyone wants to look after it. So yeah, it was amazing. That was a good feeling. I think by speaking to people in the community and the landowners, we got a really detailed picture of what's happening rather than just what you can sort of gather from the Environment Agency data. So that was really interesting, and a lot of our sample points were based on that local knowledge. At the stakeholder meeting, we invited people to highlight on the map exactly where they felt there might be key problems, and we used that as a starting point to think about where our sample and monitoring might take place. The other thing that we did was to look at local data sets where the Environment Agency have been sampling. Essex and Suffolk Water have also been hugely supportive. I went out with Ian Skinner, who regularly takes water quality samples, and they've shared a lot of that data with us too. So we've got a really good understanding of what water quality is like. We have shown, which is in keeping with the Water Framework Directive, that there are high phosphates in the Waveney, and I don't think that's a massive surprise to anybody. We've been sampling over winter, and generally speaking, oxygen levels tend to be better in winter, and they have been okay. What is interesting, and what we've tried to do, is pinpoint where there are perhaps lower level sources of pollution. We're not talking about point source pollution when there's high water levels, sewage goes into a river. We're trying to understand in more detail some of the less intense sources of pollution. If you've got multiple of these kinds of small, less intense incidents happening, that is going to have a cumulative effect, and that's what we want to understand, and that's why we need lots of feet on the ground and lots of local people to contribute. So we're at the Waveney Catchment Partnership meeting today, and we've got representatives from Anglian Water, Essex and Suffolk Water, various conservation charities and the Environment Agency, Natural England, and landowners and volunteers. They're all here today to talk about the health of the Waveney and what projects they're working on, so we can share knowledge, and also to think about how we might be able to work in partnership together in order to improve water quality and the health of the river. We're going to establish a process where, when specific issues are flagged, we can work within that group to see what to do to support remediation of the problem. It might be quite straightforward if we've got a point source pollution and it's caused by a specific issue. That might be something that can be addressed quite readily, and the person that is going to take that on will obviously lead that and then feed back to the group about how that works. But what we're also hoping to establish through long-term sampling is where there's more chronic problems within the Waveney. So, for example, on the Tin River in Bungay, it only flows during heavy rain, and so that tends to be over winter, at which point you can see the clarity of the water is so poor, there's so much silt in there. We know that that is definitely somewhere where there's a lot of pollution entering the Waveney, and no single action is going to resolve that. That will be looking at ways that we can reduce that silt going through, and that might be working with colleagues within the Waveney Trust who are working on river restoration projects or natural flood management and that type of thing. We're starting at the point of improving water quality, but that's very quickly going to branch out into lots of other projects, which obviously will need new stakeholders to be involved. The management group will also include some of the landowners and people who have direct responsibility for water quality in Bungay. Personal connection is key to motivate people, I think, to want to get involved and actually take responsibility. Working with the integrated local delivery approach, it is all about everybody recognising they have a part to play. By encouraging and supporting a personal connection through access and different ways of connecting to the river, we hope that we can really do that. We've recruited a number of volunteers for this project to help with the water quality sampling, and we've been really fortunate to be working with the University of the Arts in Norwich. They've got some really innovative ways of kind of engaging people with the natural environment, and also helping to share what can be quite dry scientific data with people. As part of our recruitment drive, we had to celebrate the River Day, and we had a number of opportunities for people to kind of explore the river in more innovative ways. So we had this underwater footage that was taken here, where people could use a virtual reality headset. We had a punt available so people could take a trip along the river and see some of the issues. We had people demonstrating water quality sampling, and we had people demonstrating kick sampling for river fly, which is another really good method to understand the health of a river, to see what invertebrates are present. We also had Lorna from Earthwake. She used an underwater microphone to record beetles and different invertebrates. We had really good footfall, and they got to kind of experience the river in all these different ways that perhaps they wouldn't normally. And on the back of that, we had 20 people sign up to offer to do water quality monitoring. To see something like the river, which people do love, but it's quite mysterious. It's really exciting to have the opportunity to peer into it from different angles, and certainly I think that captured people's imagination and made them want to kind of join and do something to help it stay healthy. We've just got really excellent volunteers who were motivated by getting the results accurate. They're not interested in doing the work unless they know their results are reliable, and also working with the Environment Agency to compare our results to theirs to validate what we've been finding. This evening we've got the water quality volunteers, and they've all come to check out their equipment to make sure it's reading accurately, to calibrate it, which we're trying to do now once a month at least. It's just an opportunity for everyone to get together and talk about what they're trying to get out of the project and what's happening in their local site. Most of the people here live very close to the spot they're sampling, so the areas of the river that are particularly important to them that they really want to understand, and they probably have a suspicion that there's something that might be problematic there too. So we're trying to work out what the problems are and what we can do next to resolve it. It'd be impossible to do any of this if we didn't have the volunteers. And honestly, they're doing things that perhaps personally I feel should already be statutory and happening all the time, and we're having to fill in gaps because there's just not enough resources available to test how healthy the river is. Some of the learning that's come out of working in these catchment partnerships is a lot of the work that happens with organisations trying to improve the health of the river is sort of ad hoc. So if an opportunity comes up, it's sort of jumped on and the intervention is focused on that. And what we're hoping to achieve is to really understand what we're doing is going to have the most impact and is going to be of most value. And part of being able to achieve that is galvanising all the information we have, work with the volunteers and local people to fill in any gaps in knowledge, and then to say, not just where is there an opportunity to do something, but what, based on all of this stuff that we know, do we think is going to be the priority to have the most impact? And that requires a lot of people feeding in everything that they can share into a space, and then a kind of agreeing to prioritise within that group. And that is key, I think, to one of the outcomes of this project, is to have this working group established, which it really does start to allow us to do that. And that will be real progress. Everyone has their own projects and things that they're working on. That can make it quite difficult, but I think we do need to take a step back and say, actually, what are we all doing and why are we doing that? And use the catchment partnerships to actually make sure we're working together. We are near the end of this stage of the project, which was the initial pilot phase. What we would like to do and what we're planning to do is then repeat this method, but using lessons learned from this to actually roll it out across other market towns. And so there will be groups of water quality volunteers all along the Waveney. By doing that, we hope to achieve a situation where we have a number of sentinel sites that are monitored, chosen specifically because they compartmentalise different parts of the catchment. If we can then get long-term water quality monitoring on those sites regularly, we'll have a really clear picture of how things change. So if we see, say for example, a real spike in ammonia or a real spike in phosphate at one of those sites, we can work our way back and try and see where exactly that's come from. Once we've got a network across the whole of the Waveney catchment, they will all feed into our water quality database, and anybody will have access to that, and they'll be able to see what the water quality is like within the Waveney. And each of the sub-catchments within the Waveney will have the opportunity to select different sites within a sub-catchment, so you can compare how the water quality varies within a sub-catchment. And that will hopefully inspire other people to think about the water quality and what might be happening in their area. There's so many areas and problems where water is contaminated. There'll never be too many people doing this work or trying to make the difference. So yeah, hopefully we can just reach more and more people.